Getting Super 8 footage back from the lab is an exciting moment as you finally get to see what you've captured on this wonderful little format. But there is always the possibility that things just don't turn out. Sometimes you end up with a blank roll, and it's not a good feeling, but understanding what happened is an important part in learning how to avoid this in the future. A lot of the time, when there's nothing on your roll of film, it's because of one of these problems. First, check your camera. There are so many Super 8 cameras out there, but most of them are decades old at this point, and maybe haven't been used for decades either. Super 8 film lives in these cartridges, which pop easily into your camera. The camera's motor moves the film from one side of the cartridge to the other. Be sure that your camera has good fresh batteries for powering this motor. To check that the camera is advancing the film, dot the film at the front of the cartridge with a marker. Load it into the camera, run it for just a second, and take it out. If the mark is gone, then the film should be moving fine. If it's still there, then there may be issues with the camera's motor. Some cameras also have an indicator on the side or in the viewfinder to tell you that the motor is actually spinning. When you reach the end of your cartridge, signified by the footage counter or a signal in the viewfinder, you can remove the film and the word exposed should be visible on the film in the cartridge. This is a sure sign that you've made it to the end of the roll, which is crucial in knowing that your film ran all the way through to the end of the camera and won't leave you guessing as to whether you've only shot 10 feet or the whole thing. Get to know your camera. Research it as much as you can and read a manual if you have access to one. Some of these cameras have manual exposure control, which allows you to change the size of the aperture opening in the lens yourself. Be careful not to leave the aperture closed completely when shooting, because this will result in no image being captured. Cameras can be quirky and counterintuitive. On certain models like this Canon 814, even if you switch to auto, the aperture will still be closed if set on closed. The camera settings are not fully automatic. If using an entirely manual exposure system, then have a light meter or a light meter app on a phone for reference. Oftentimes, these cameras have automatic exposure functions, and your camera may require a special light meter battery for the film to be exposed properly. Many take these wine cell batteries, which are modern equivalents for old mercury cell batteries. Without batteries, then the camera will not expose the film properly. You can also look through the film gate if possible and see if the aperture is responding as the light changes. Or you may have an indicator in the viewfinder which tells you what the lens's aperture value is. And some cameras also have variable shutters which can be opened or closed to do effects such as fading in and out. Just be careful not to shoot when the shutter is closed all the way. Choose the right film for the right job. Shooting in really low light can be tricky. 500 ISO color negative film is the best option for this to get an image. If you're shooting with a low ISO film, such as 50, then you might not have enough light to capture anything. The film lab can be a mysterious place, especially for people new to the world of shooting with film, but it's quite rare for something catastrophic to happen in a lab. The lab will run your film through large machines that are maintained with fresh chemistry to provide consistent results. If the lab receives a cartridge that hasn't been shot all of the way, the lab will shoot the cartridge to the end in the darkroom. It is extremely rare to have a defective cartridge, but it does happen. If the cartridge will not shoot through the lab's camera, then you will be notified. After that, depending on the services you've chosen, your film will be scanned as a digital file. The lab will scan the film even if there appears to be nothing on it, because it's not always easy to tell. Even a poor or underexposed image can be important in helping you to understand what went wrong. So it's best practice for the lab to scan your entire roll regardless of the quality or quantity of images you receive. If possible, shoot a cartridge on a new camera as a test before tackling an important project. Explore the variety of scanning services and packages that Pro 8mm offers so that you can choose the best choice for your very first roll. Keep your lens and battery contacts clean, and even lightly brush the gate of your camera for best results. A child's toothbrush is a great tool to clean the gate. And remember these tips to confidently capture nice, bright, vivid images on Super 8 that you can look forward to getting back from the lab.